Guys, for ELA today, we are going to read a new story about Frog and Toad, our little friends we've been learning about. It's called Down the Hill. So, think about what's going to happen in the story, and we'll connect it to what we already know about these characters. Before we get started, we've recently learned a lot of facts and information about frogs and toads, real facts and information from nonfiction books. We have also done a really close analysis of Frog and Toad from the fictional books, the characters. So I want you to think about that, and we're going to do a little bit of round robin at your teams, at your tables. Each person is going to share something that they know about a frog or toad. Not a real frog and toad, our characters, Frog and Toad. You're going to share out one thing that you know about them. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Touch your brain if you can share something about either frog or toad. This is just for us to kind of refresh back and have some prior knowledge about what we've learned about Frog and Toad before we get into our next story about them. Questions? Fist the floor if you know what to do. Very good. Okay, what did you learn? He always has energy, right? Love how y'all are sharing. Class?
Yes.
Table. What'd you hear?
I heard that Frog and Toad is best friends.
Oh, I heard the same thing at another table. Right over here. So would you agree or disagree with table one? Yeah, we've learned that they are best friends. Choose somebody else to tell us what they heard. Tony, what did you learn about Frog and Toad? Or what did someone at your table say about Frog and Toad?
Well, two people that
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Aiden and Hayden had said that Frog helps Toad and Toad doesn't help Frog, but I had said I disagree because in the surprise, Toad helped it Frog, and Frog had helped it Toad.
Oh, what do you think about what Tony just said?
Agree.
Is it always one character helping the other one, or have we had some stories where they both help one another? They both help one another, and I love how she cited her evidence, said in the story Surprise, they both helped one another. Excellent work, Tony. Throughout our story that we read today, we're going to be able to do some things, so mirrors on. I can. Retell. A story. Mirrors off. Do you think you can do that?
Yes,
Raise your hand if you already know how to retell a story. Yes, you're going to work with your group to sequence this story. That means retell the events that happen in the story. Mirrors on. I can tell. The difference. Between fiction. And non-fiction. Mirrors off. Do you already know some things that are important in a fiction story?
Yes.
Do you know some things that usually are in a non-fiction story?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to add to our fantasy versus reality chart after we're done. What could be something that's connected to real life and what's something that's totally made up? I will have some expert readers who have been working on their fluency super hard. They are doing an exceptional job, and so today we're going to do something called a reader's theater. Think about a theater. What do you watch at a theater? A movie, a play. So today they're going to kind of act out just a little, but they're really going to focus on fluently reading this story for you. Okay? What does a fluent reader sound like? What's a fluent reader sound like, Carrington?
A fluent reader sounds like their voice goes up and down.
To match the what?
Words.
To match the words and the meaning in the story. Excellent work.
They read with expression and, like you said, if something bad happens, their voice wouldn't be all happy.
Their voice
and if
wouldn't be.
something would have happened happy, their voice wouldn't be sad.
Exactly. Whatever's happening in the story they're reading matches the meaning of the words in the story. Very good work.
And when they're talking, their voice usually come up and go up and down.
It goes up and down depending on what's being said. Do fluent readers kind of match the character too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it interesting, doesn't it?
Like hands and eyes. Hands and eyes. Fall knock at Toad's door. Wake up. Come out and see how wonderful the winter is. I will not. I am in my warm bed. Winter is beautiful. Come out and have fun. Frog came into the house. I have brought you some things to wear. Frog pushed a coat down over the top of Toad. Frog and a scarf on Toad's head.
Hocus pocus.
Everybody
Take a look at these illustrations before they continue, please. Look at their expressions. Think of the attitudes. The expression and the attitude of both Toad and Frog. Think about that. How does this match what we've already learned about these characters? Brendan!
Frog is like whenever we read summer, and Toad is like whenever we read summer because Toad don't want to go outside because he don't have no winter clothes, and Frog is happy because he wants Toad to come play outside with him.
Absolutely, and look at them on the screen. Brendan's saying it's just like in the story Spring. Frog is excited and he's happy and he's ready to go, but Toad is what? He's kind of down in the dumps and a little bit grumpy. He does not want to go and play. So you can relate this to exactly how their expressions were in the story Spring. Please go get you a kiss. That's absolutely amazing. Aubrey, did you have something to add to that?
Yes, ma'am. I can add on the side by saying it's in another story from Ice Cream because when he fell in the pond, he said, ah!
Oh, so he's kind of being dramatic again, right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, ah!
Here we go! There was a bump. Frog fell off the sled, Toad rushed past trees and rocks. Frog, I am glad that you are here. Toad
Whoa.
leaped over a snow.
Pause for a second, Whitney. Did you hear what Toad just said?
What?
Frog, I'm glad that you're here.
He changed his attitude.
I like that you picked up on that. His attitude changed a little bit.
Hello, Crow. Look at me and Frog. We can ride a sled better than anybody in the world.
But Toad, you are alone on the sled. What's wrong with my reading?
A robot.
What do I sound like, Whitney? Indy, I'm sorry. I sound kind of like a robot. You knew that I would do that? But Tom, you are alone on the sled. Is that better?
Yeah.
A little bit better for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So look around. He saw Frog was not there. I'm all alone. The sled hit a tree. The sled hit a rock. The sled dived into the snow. Frog came running down the hill. He pulled Toad out of the snow. I saw everything. You did very well by yourself. I did not, but there is one thing I could do all by myself. What is that? I could go home. Winter might be beautiful, but bed is much better.
Who can give them a little praise?
Praise for someone.
I like that.
I like how Aiden and Ben were acting out all the parts and not only saying it, but they were doing it.
They were saying it and doing it with gestures, right? Very, very good work. They did a good job. Give them a little firecracker. Ah. Analyze this illustration. How can you relate this to what you already know about these two characters? What did we learn about these two characters? What did you guys say in round robin earlier? That Frog and Toad are what? That's right. Look at this picture. What are they doing in that picture?
Frog is helping Toad.
Think about what we said about good friends. What do they do? Absolutely amazing. Caden cited as evidence. He said in the words of the text, it said, Frog was watching the whole time and came to help Toad out of the snow. Amazing, amazing work.
And in ice cream, when Toad fell when Frog fell in the water, Toad helped Frog.
Absolutely. So they take turns helping one another. Also in the story, the surprise, like someone said earlier, they both helped one another. Does this make you know that they are good friends?
Yeah.
Look at his face now. What was he doing earlier when he was on the sled and he was talking to Crow? What was he doing?
They have a bump, then he fell down.
They had a bump and he fell down, but how was Toad feeling then? Anaja? He was feeling happy. How could you tell? Compare his face now. Nehemiah, what do you see? What do you notice?
I noticed at first Frog is happy and now he's sleep. Toad was happy now. Toad said because he must be cold when he fell in the snow.
He's cold because he's stuck in the snow, right? That's a very, very great job. What?
And they say hot and dry.
Ooh, and you know toads are supposed to say what?
Hot and dry.
I absolutely love how you related that to something that we've learned nonfiction in real life. Nehemiah, that's amazing to see how a character's reactions can change throughout a story. They don't always have the same feelings throughout the whole story. Events happen that affect them and make them feel differently as the story goes on. All right. Have we observed any new details we can add to our fantasy versus reality chart? Think back about the story. Think back. Anything that was fantasy in the story? Whoa! And was there anything that was sort of connected to real life? Carson.
Something fantasy was when Toad has that Toad doesn't have feelings because like when he was on the sled he was changing his attitude and his attitude was like his feelings.
He was having feelings and emotions based on what was going on in his environment, the things happening around him.
They hibernate in the winter, and I saw that in the winter they weren't hibernating.
They were not hibernating in the winter, were they? Would that frog be able to survive in the winter time in the snow?
No.
No, because they're what?
Hibernating.
They're hibernating because they're what?
They're cold-blooded.
That's exactly it, because what kind of animal are they?
Amphibian.
They are amphibians, so that is completely made up. A frog would not be out and about tramping, just like the text said. They would not be tramping through the snow. So we knew what was fantasy based on the facts we learned that were actually real, right? I want you to keep these things in mind for whenever you do your writing, you finish your writing, okay? So that you can know what's real and what's fantasy. You can also connect this to your real life. What was real about Frog and Toad's relationship? Aubrey?
What was real that friends help each other in the snow. In the fall.
That's right. Do friends help friends?
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's something that was real in the story. That is something you can connect to your own real life.
You want to know that frogs do not have a home to live in.
Frogs do not have a home that they live in. That is absolutely right. Well, they have a shelter, but not a house, right? So when it said he knocked on Toad's door and walked in the house, is that real? No, it doesn't happen that way. I like that you're giving your evidence from the story. You remember how at the beginning we said I can retell a story? You're going to work with your team to retell the events from the story. I'm challenging you not to use your story. See how well you paid attention. Okay? Yeah. You can guide your team members. Managers, remember your duty. No fussing, no fighting, no hogs, no laws.
Make sure they don't get off topic.
And make sure they don't get off topic. Do you know what you're doing? Fist it for if you know what you're doing.
But Toad said you were right with her. Which one? I'm going
Okay, think to yourself, when did that happen in the story? You did very well, said Frog. Was that the beginning, middle, or end? You think that was in the middle? You think so too? What do you guys think?
The coat down
Middle?
over the top. In the middle. I think it's in the middle.
Okay, so Marie says that kind of happened in the end. You guys think the middle? Okay, so let's leave it aside, but we know it's not going to be at the top, right? You're next. Choose one and read it.
You did very
How's it going?
well.
Okay, do we have any? Is this one the one that you guys put? When did that happen?
When it was getting the sled. Okay.
The very first thing in the story, right? That was like the very first sentence. So that obviously has to be the first thing that happened.
That's in the beginning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Keep reading. Yes, DC.
So I think that goes far.
I love how hard y'all are working as partners over there. I have to say, this is a very, very good team. I hear no arguing, no fussing, no fighting. That manager must be doing a good job over there.
I think the first one that you did was next. No,
Back.
no, it's this one. Falling. Oh yeah, it was that.
I like that. I like that expression.
On my sleeve. It was kind of.
What was the last name?
I think it was in the beginning. I agree with Marie.
Oh, yes. Did you talk about how he felt in the story? Was he like, or did he say, oh no, this is no way?
Wait, I think there's something in the middle.
He said, oh no, you remember that last illustration?
Down
I would agree that this is the very end.
snow pants up over the bottom of Toad. It was in the
After Toad realized he was all by himself, the sled bloop and dived into the snow. Why do you think that even happened? Why do you think that happened?
because Toad wasn't watching where he was going.
He wasn't watching where he's going. That's a very good response. That could be why that happened. But dig a little bit deeper. He was having a good time and he was saying, Frog, you're the best. I'm so glad you're riding with me. Then he found out he was all by himself and he wrecked. Why did that happen, Whitney?
Because probably he got scared and he didn't have Frog with him anymore.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
He felt confident and happy when Frog was with him, but then when he learned he was all by his lonesome, he probably got scared and worried, right? I really like that idea, Whitney. How would you feel?
I would feel sad because I didn't have my friend.
You would feel sad because you didn't have your friend with you? Would you feel scared if you were all by yourself?
Yeah.
Would you get a little bit nervous if you were all by yourself? So how do you think Toad felt whenever he realized, I'm all alone?
He felt terrified.
He felt terrified. I love that vocabulary word. Instead of saying scared, terrified is a very, very great word. What
In the
else?
first part, Toad didn't like winter, and then I can go back to what Whitney said.
Oh, so you can connect back to what Whitney said, right? You can build onto her because she said he changed his attitude and things, and then he was loving, loving, loving winter because he thought his best buddy was with him, right? Have you retold the story in your group? Some of these details were a little bit tricky, but I noticed that you got the first important detail. the middle, and the very final one, because isn't that the most important things in the story?
Yes.
The main idea from the beginning, the middle, and the end is how we retell our stories, and some little details in there. Okay, mixed pair share, Q&A. Each person gets their index card. I will give you some think time. Oh, some people already know their question that they're going to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're going to take a few minutes to come up with a question that you would like to ask a classmate about the story that we read. Can you use your question stems?
Yes.
Absolutely. Which ones are the real meaty ones?
On my own. Who were? On my own.
Right there?
No.
No, that means you can put your finger on it in the story, right? Author and me?
Yes.
On my own?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Or you were?
If you need help coming up with a question you would like to ask the class, you may use a brain at your table. You have classmates there in a team that can help you if you need a little bit of help. Write your question on one side. Spell the best way you can. Match the letters to the words. Flip it over and put your answer that you would be looking for on the other side. How can you relate? Think of something like that. What did Frog do? What did Toad do? How did Toad feel? How would you feel if... What's your question? That's a few. Oh, how does Toad feel? So how look, baby? A corner? Got your question? Did you flip it over and write the answer on the other side? Flip it over and write the answer on the other side, guys. So you can quiz your friends. There you go. How does? Really? It's okay. Does. Make sure you have a capital letter and an end mark, please. What kind of end mark should you have if you're asking a question?
Question mark.
Yeah. Toad. Okay, on the back you're going to say, what was your answer? Toad. Thumbs up if you are ready to share. Hands on your brain if you need a few more minutes. Okay, take a few more minutes, okay, guys? Maybe if you're done at your table, see if your team members need a little bit of help. What? Why did Toad say I can what? Okay, put that. And put a question mark. Got your question? Pair. Okay, you two pair up. Silence fell over the crowd. A silence fell over the crowd. I want to share my partner's question. I want her to share her question because I think it's pretty juicy. Go ahead.
What happened when Toad fell off the sled? Have you ever saw a frog and a toad on a sled? I know about the frog and toad is that they help each other. And my question is, no, I have not seen a frog and a toad. In the story, down the hill, there's a frog and toad help each other.
What reason?
He didn't want to play in the snow. He wanted to snow, like his feeling. He was happy, then he turned sad. Or he's sad, then he turned happy, then he turned sad again. No. What is it? It was
Yes. I want another partner that I heard to share their question really quickly. Tony, can you share your question with the group? How did Toad feel when
Frog left him?
How did Toad feel when Frog left him? I think that's a pretty deep question. Was the answer in the story? Tony, choose somebody to share their answer and we'll see if you were thinking the same thing.
I think Toad felt disappointed.
That's a great word. How did you know that? Did the story say Toad was disappointed? How do you know that? What gave you that clue? Need a little help?
Frog got hit by the rock. Frog. I need help.
Okay, that's okay. We can get somebody to help you out. You choose who's going to help you. How did you know that Toad was disappointed or upset or sad?
Bryson.
I knew Toad was sad when Frog left him because when the crow had told him he was all alone, he had shouted, "I'm all alone!"
In big capital letters, right? And his face did what?
And he was sad because he was all by himself. He didn't have nobody to ride with.
He had no one else to ride with him, and he ended up doing what to the sled?
He ended up crashing.
He ended up crashing it. So did the story say, oh, Toad is disappointed?
No.
You had to use your schema, your context clues to learn that Toad said, I am all alone. And then the sled crashed. That is the clue that lets you know he was really upset. He was probably scared. Would you agree? Yeah? Really, really good questions. We're going to have to stop right here. But I'm going to check your question and answer as your exit ticket. So however you feel about today's lesson, I want you to slip it into the exit ticket pocket. Fist of 4. 4 means I got this and I can teach a friend. 3 is I'm pretty confident. I feel good about this. 2 is I have a few more questions. I'm not sure I understand the story and the events. And 1 is, Miss Heather, I was not here. I have no idea what's happening. Okay, but if you really need some more help, please put it in 1 and be honest so that I can give you that time that you need. Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's line up and put our exit ticket.